Welcome to the new year. It is now 2022. We got through 2020, 2021, so hopefully 2022 is a good year for everyone in a lot of good ways, despite everything still ongoing, unfortunately. But I ended off the video last year, 2021, with my recap video and said how it was really a rough year. There were a lot of things pushed back, a lot of different cameras and production, and it was just tough to even get hands-on gear, to even get gear. So it was a very rough year in the camera industry, despite a little bit of sales and stuff like that. But what does that leave for 2022? Let's give kind of a brief video on a little bit of predictions about the industry and the camera companies themselves, and just kind of talk through that below. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments as well. Will this be another tough year in the photography creative industry? So really, we're already hearing a lot of production issues, unfortunately, falling mainly in the Sony and even kind of the Canon camp of things. So I think 2022 is still going to be a rough year. Do I think we're going to have a couple glimmers of hope? I think so. I'll talk about those when we get to specific brands, just to name one or two cameras that I think might come out. But the thing is, Sony is already having widespread production delays. And they're already having chip shortages for the A6600 and the A7C. So that's kind of telling. I think that's going to curtail into more things. And Sony also produces a lot for other cameras and camera companies and technologies as well. But even Canon is already saying that they're cutting production, especially in regards to flagship DSLRs. So Canon is already thinking about moving from the DSLR line, even though if it's just from the flagship route, obviously their new R3, whatever, everything. They're going to be concentrating on the mirrorless route, basically kind of the same thing like Nikon's doing. But that's the thing as well. Nikon is also experiencing severe delays, especially with the Nikon Z9 that was supposed to come out, that got pushed back, that was super hyped. Some reviewers and creators are getting their hands on it, but for the masses it doesn't look like it's going to be super soon, especially in mass production. So we're seeing severe delays already to line up with the economy all around the world, not just in the States or anything like that. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things. And I think we're going to start seeing the price of photography and gear and everything like that has always been high. In all reality, it's always a heavy price tag. But the big thing is, I think with inflation and how it is around the world, it's going to hurt our pockets a little bit more. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for 2022. But let's kind of give specific. Let's see what some companies might do. Maybe we can predict something. So I just want to start with Fuji, because I think Fuji's very consistent. We didn't hear anything about any kind of shortages or anything for them. But one of the cameras that's been heavily rumored for a while now, and it's been set, the rumor's been pretty set to be 2022, is the Fuji X-H2. So hopefully that comes out. The X-H1 was a pretty legendary camera. Didn't fly off the shelves at first, but when people found it and realized how great, especially video-wise for Sony, even though Fuji has done great video stuff, especially in their XT line, the X-H2 is something that a lot of people have been like, okay, we really want this, because even the X-H1 after a while wasn't being produced a ton, and it was a little hard to get your hands on that. So I think maybe the X-H2 finally comes towards the end of the year, maybe Q3 or something like that. But I also think that an XT5, because it's about every 2-year cycle for the XT line, I think we might see the XT5, especially if we don't see the X-H2. We might see the XT5, which once again, very well-selling camera for Fuji, and once again, great video, photo options. So we might see that as well. So that's what I kind of think for Fuji, and we haven't heard a lot of issues for them right now. And once again, Sony, I already mentioned they're having some chip production issues and some delays on their own. But I still think maybe they come out with at least 1 or 2 big things this year. They seem to push out, even through the heavy part of everything. They even pushed out 3 or 4 cameras, about 2 years ago, even kind of into last year. So I think that Sony still does a lot. And I'm still banking that they're going to do some kind of A6700 or A6900 or something like that. Or like some kind of like A7000 or something like that. Consumer-based, still a bit pricey for what it should be, but I think they can deal with an upgrade there. And then I think one of the big things they have to do, and I think they're going to try and do, even though I don't think they really have to, but one of the things they're going to do is try and compete with the Nikon Z9, the Canon R3, etc., is come out with a Sony A9 III. Now, Sony already, with the A9, has already blown things beyond belief for sports and mirrorless and fast action and stuff like that. But I see them putting out another kind of flagship model like that in the near future as well. Maybe this year, maybe early 2023, but I think we're going to see that on the horizon as well to kind of compete and stay relevant, even though Sony isn't still relevant within that lines as well. And we go with Nikon. Nikon is a little bit more commonsensical. It's kind of already set out. We're definitely going to see the Z9 in more mass production this year, be it probably most likely later this year, depending, you know, more delays or anything like that. But I also think they sneak in a successor to the Z6 and Z7, and I think they got to come out with something a little bit more consumer as well. And I think we see something like a Z8. Now, it's a little bit of a wild card to throw out there because they're concentrating, I think, heavily on the Z9 and producing that with the delays they're having right now in early 22, you know, from the end of 2021. But I think that it's kind of deserved. The Z6, fine. Z7 was rated pretty well as well. But I think the Z8, they can do a lot more and improve on that. And I think we might be able to see a little bit more from Nikon this year and not be as quiet as things. So hopefully we see some stuff coming out. And Canon's going to be a little tough to figure out what they're going to do in 2022. I definitely think, you know, the R3 release fine and everything like that. But I was really trying to think, what else can they really do? And the only thing I could think of, once again, if they're going to kind of abandon the DSLR stuff and not even mention consumer DSLRs or anything like that, they got to come out with something. And I'm thinking maybe they come out with like the Canon R6 II, something like that, probably Q3 or 4 of this year. So I'm expecting a lot of stuff to come out towards the end of 2020. The Canon was a little bit tough. I don't know. I hope that they can do something, especially for a lot of Canon shooters out there, that you guys can get something fun to play with if you're looking to upgrade your gear. All that being said, one of the big topics, and most notably, definitely so, one of the features that I think comes out this year and hope comes out this year is some kind of anti-theft technology. We covered this in a dedicated video, and it was by you know, a photographer who was caught on camera being robbed at like gunpoint and stuff like that. He was robbed. Luckily, wasn't injured, but the story went viral. Tony and Chelsea Northrup is the friend of the photographer, and really started the movement for companies to be like, listen, we even had change org position or whatever it was. I can relink that down below too, to be like, hey, give some kind of anti-theft technology, whatever it is. Once again, we have a whole video on that. I'll link that down if you haven't seen it. But I think that maybe we get a little bit of a breakthrough, even if it's not the best kind of thing that comes out right now, because it's kind of the first iteration. I think maybe we get that. And I think I saw the poll. I think people believed Sony, it was either Sony or Fuji, might come out with this technology first. And I agree with that. I don't think Nikon or Canon are going to be innovative that much with that right away. Sony does do a lot to listen to their users. Fuji does as well. But I think Sony might do something and then improve from there. And then we might see the trickle-down effect to other cameras. So I think that that's one feature we might see featured. I hope that that doesn't get pushed off the block because of a lot of the production issues and stuff like that. I hope that there still can be some kind of innovation in the technology we have in 2022 coming up. But I think that's what we got. So that's my predictions. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think there's going to be this year, or maybe a lack of. Who knows? Or how you think the industry is going to be as a whole. Will it kind of be fruitful, or will it kind of be another, damn, we still can't do much this year, and there's not much we can do about it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll go from there.